So it's just over a year since I played and made a video on Recon Breakpoint, and if you remember, that game had a pretty mixed launch. I feel like most people compared it right from the start to Wildlands, and overall it just didn't hit the same for a lot of players. Most of that was because of the changes they made or things they removed which many people liked, but I still think to this day not everyone knows that they actually went back and worked on quite a bit of stuff over the years. A bunch of updates that made the game a lot better overall. I guess a lot of people kind of moved on and didn't really notice just how much had changed, though a lot of people are still coming back to this day and want to know. I mean, the game was released in 2019, so it's been out for 7 years now, and now with this video I'm going to focus more on what has changed since launch and what they improved, rather than going over again what the entire game has to offer all over again. I sort of did that in the very first video, which I will link down below, because if you're watching this you probably already have a rough idea of what Breakpoint is. It's more just if it has gotten better. So a bit of a different take this time, I guess. I'd say this is more of a video where you can see what has changed and decide if you want to play now. And yes, I do have a bit of a cold. So we all found out that the game is no longer being updated. That was the main thing, and we found that out about a year ago, I think. They're basically done everything they planned to do with it. So what we have now is the final version of Breakpoint, which is a bit of a shame, to be honest, because there's still things they could have added, definitely. It's one of those games that still does have a lot to do if you started right now, but I think maybe a few more expansions and different style missions would be good, maybe even some changes to the map or something. There were definitely more things they could have done, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And honestly, that seems to be the case with a lot of their games, but it is good that they didn't just leave it as it was from launch. That would have been dreadful. They went back and improved it quite a bit. The biggest update and the most important one they did was the ghost experience. I mentioned it in my other videos, but it's worth bringing it up again because of how much it changed things. It basically split the game into two different modes. So you've got the regular mode, which is how it was before with that looter shooter system, so gear levels and weapon rarities. Then there's immersive mode, and this is the one that a lot of people do prefer, I think. It removes all of that. No gear score, no rarity system, just weapons you can pick up and use however you like. So instead you don't have to worry about whether something is a higher level weapon or not, and you just use what you want and what you like. And stuff that used to be kind of useless because of its level can now be used for the entirety of the game if you were to do that. And on top of that, you've got custom settings as well, so you can mix things up however you want. And then the game really does start to feel better. Before, things felt a bit limited, and now there's way more freedom in how you play, definitely, to the point where the settings might even feel like a bit too much and a bit overwhelming. So for example, you can change enemy difficulty, how much damage they do, how quickly they spot you, and more. But you've also got the tactical settings, so how many weapons you can carry, how stamina works, how many bandages you get, how much ammo you lose. It goes on. There's a lot there. I'm not going to go through every option, but the main thing is that you've got way more control now over your gameplay. Then there are teammates, which also got some improvements. So the teammate system got an update, so now they level up with you, whether you're playing solo or with others, doing missions and getting kills, everything like that. That helps with progression. So because of that, the AI teammates actually improve over time as well. I've sort of dabbled with them. I didn't use them in this playthrough, but every so often I sort of try them out and see how they're like. And there are also teammate missions, and challenges that give extra XP and cosmetics, which adds more to that progression side of things, because at launch it did feel again a bit limited there. And speaking of cosmetics, that is something you see a lot more of now, so more gear, more items to unlock, more ways to customize your character. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better than before. There's a lot you can do. Going back to the AI teammates, you can also upgrade them, so each one has its own role, like drones for example, or scanning, and it's all automatic, which is quite nice. You don't have to manage them all the time. As they level up, they just get better and start using their abilities on their own. There were also smaller improvements made to teammates just overall, just to make them feel smoother. And I should add, all these settings, especially in the ghost experience, are quite personal. So if you're playing with others, your settings don't affect theirs, basically. Everyone can play how they want, which is quite nice and adds to that freedom of it all. So now my recent experience coming back to the game is that I've been playing it a bit differently compared to before. So last time and my first ever playthrough, I focused mostly on the main missions. This time I sort of slowed things down a bit and did a bit more side content, and it was quite interesting just going wherever something was happening instead of sticking to a main plan. And yeah, it is true, some of it can feel a bit repetitive. That was the main concern. There are a lot of similar tasks, like going to locations where you scan intel and then travelling all the way across the map to do something similar again. And that's something I noticed in the main missions, so it makes sense that it shows up more in the side content. But it's not all like that, there's still plenty of action. For me, the gameplay feeling is just still the main thing, and overall it holds up. The gunplay is very solid, nothing amazing, but very smooth to enjoy. It can feel a bit clunky at times, I guess, especially with the aim assist, but overall it does work well. And where the game really stood out to me the first time is like animations and stuff, like especially with healing. They're done really well, the way your character reacts to injuries and how movement changes. It all adds to that tactical feel of it. It's not just run and gun, you actually have to think about what you're doing. And that's what I found fun about it. You can really do a lot, so you can sneak around and take things slow or go in more aggressively if you want, and there's a ton of flexibility there, and that's the main thing, I think. And when it comes to open world tactical shooters, there's not really many, especially modern ones that are quite popular. And I'd also say it's a good game for more casual players. Like, it's not too complicated, it's easy to get into, and you can play solo or with others. There are some issues, but nothing too serious, and that's why it still does end up being recommended by me. If you're looking for a big game you can jump into and just have fun with, it's a solid option. But it's definitely one of those Ubisoft games that got better over time, similar to AC Unity and The Division 2. It had a rough start, but where it is now is very different, which I still think people don't quite realise. And that is pretty much everything I wanted to include in this updated version. I know it's a bit more relaxed, but as I said, it's only been about a year since I played, and obviously they stopped the updates. I wanted to do an updated review and just go over the changes from what it was back then, rather than going over the entire game again. And honestly, I think they did a good job with it. They could have left it as it was, but they didn't, and that's something I do appreciate. And you know, listening to the community for the most part. But now this is it. This is the final version of the game. It's not going to change from here. So if you're looking at Breakpoint again, hopefully this gave you a better idea of what it's like now. If you want a deeper look at the game itself, check out my other video. I'll have it linked. And if you like this one, feel free to leave a like. And if you're into both single player and multiplayer games, then that's what this channel does focus on. I have many playlists on a selection of games that you can check out, so you can subscribe to the channel if you want to. And if you want to support me any further, then you can click the join button down below and gain access to various perks. Thank you all for the support. And anyone that does drink G Fuel, you can use my code CALZ at checkout to get either a 10% or a 30% off your order, depending on when it is. And yeah, that was Breakpoint. I put out a post the other day saying that weekly videos will return, and that is true, starting from now. So yeah, look out for them, and thank you all for watching, and that was Breakpoint, and bye bye.